Alrighty, everybody. Welcome in to No Such Time Domain. I'm still getting things ready, so bear with me. Yeah, so mute this. There we go. That should do the trick. Alright, I still gotta get a few things set up here. I'm like really like behind right now. I woke up. I had some things to do before I got started, and yeah, I'm just running behind right now. Not too far, but like just getting everything set up for the stream was like the hardest. Like the image that's it that you guys were seeing before I came on. That one I just took, and I'm debating if I want to go back and retake that image because the way it is in the book is it has a like bump on it, so like it kind of sets it off from how it looks, but it looks really cool at the same time because you got one side of it shade and the other side not shade. So I don't know if I'm gonna keep that or not, but I believe right where there we go. All right, so I think that's everything then. I think I got everything. I hope. One last thing I want to do before I get started is this. All right, so all right, yeah, I'm excited to start this one today. I don't know, just for some reason I've just felt like there's something, something kind of like there's something like I feel like there's gonna be some sort of blessing after I read this or something, or like I don't know what's gonna happen, but I just have a strong feeling that something good's gonna happen. And I don't know why. All right, and now we should be able to get ready. All right, there we go. Now, all right. A lot of people have been, I heard this one before, but actually to read it is like a bit different for me because I get to experience like the actual like everything behind it. So I don't know why, but like I can feel excitement in the air for this one. All right, Deuteronomy, the command to leave Horeb, chapter 1. These are the words Moses spoke to all the Israel in the wilderness east of the Jordan. That is in Arabab, opposite opposite Shup, between Paran and Tophel, Laban, Hazeroth, and Dezahab. It takes 11 days to go from Horeb to Kadesh Barnea by the Mount Seir road. In the 40th year of the first day of the 11th month, Moses proclaimed to the Israelites all that the Lord had commanded him concerning them. This was after he had defeated Shino, Shion, king of the Amorites, who reigned over Shaban and Edred, and had defeated Og, king of Bashan, who reigned in Asheroth, east of Jordan, in the territory of Moab. Moses began to expound this law, saying, the Lord our God said to us at Horeb, you have stayed long enough at this mountain. Break camp and advance into the hill country of the Amorites. Go to all the neighbors, people in Arabah, in the mountains, in the western foothills of Negev, and along the coast to the land of the Canaanites, and to Lebanon, as far as the great river O Euphrates, see, I have given you this land. Go in and take possession of the land the Lord swore he would give to your father Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their descendants after them. The appointed leader. So it looks like they're traveling again, and the Lord told them to do so. So the appointed leaders of the appointments of leaders. So sorry. At that time, I said to you, you are too heavy a burden for me to carry alone. The Lord your God has increased your numbers, so that today you are as numerous as the stars in the sky. May the Lord, the God of your ancestors, increase you 1,000 times and bless you as he promised, as he has promised. But now, but how can you bear how can I bear your problems and your burdens and dispute all by myself? Choose some wise understanding and respect men from each of your tribes, and I will set over them. You answered me, what you propose to do is good. So I took the leading men of your tribes, wise and respected men, and appointed them to have authority over you as the commanders of thousands and thousands, of fifties and of tens as tribal officials. And I charged your judges at the time, hear the dispute between your people and a judge fairly, whether the case is between two Israelites or between an Israelite and a foreigner residing among you. Do not show partially in judging. Hear both small and great alike. Do not be afraid of anyone, for judgment belongs to God. So what he's saying is something I go by too. A lot of people tend to judge, and what he just said is judgment belongs to God. So anything you're doing right now that anybody has judged you on, those people shouldn't be making a judgment. It should be like God is supposed to make the judgment at the end. And that's the thing I keep trying to tell people is like, you know, people are so busy judging each other. Like we see it we see it come from everybody, and everybody's like, well, I don't judge, I don't judge. Yeah, you do. Technically, almost everybody judges. Everybody judges, whether we realize it or whether we allow ourselves to accept it or not. When you first meet a person, your first instinct is instantly judge them. So you're making a judge by like, okay, so you're judging by like sitting and having a conversation. You listen to the conversation, you're judging people, all right? Because if you hear something in a conversation you don't like or you don't agree with, you're judging them based upon their story and what they're saying. Or you're also judging a person based on, let's just say, the election. The election's coming up, and someone's like, well, let's just say you walk up to a person who voted blue. All right, I don't know how that works, but there's red and there's blue. You walk up to a person who voted blue, you tell them you voted red. Oh man, they're gonna be upset with you. They will be furious with you, and it's just like that kind of stuff is everywhere today, and it's really just kind of sad to see that like no matter what you do, you're always gonna be judged. All right, and that's part of the thing here. Even on the internet, you can say stuff like right now, people could take out of context what I'm saying and call me delusional because I believe in God, okay? By what this says right here, I get called delusional. I got called unhinged yesterday in a comment section because I posted a scripture up yesterday and somebody was like, "You're unhinged, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "No, how am I unhinged for using the scripture in the Bible?" You know, but hey. But yeah, people make judgments and they don't. A lot of people don't want to admit that they make a judgment. Like I could walk into a cold conversation of people, and you know they'll sit there and they'll make a judgment, and then I'll be like, "Didn't you just make it?" Like I'm like, I'll be like, I'll say something like, "You're not God, so stop judging me." Things like that. So bring me any case too hard for you, and I will hear it. And at that time, I told you everything you were to do. Spies sent out. Then, as the Lord our God commanded us, we set out from Herob and went towards the hill country of the Amorites through all the vast and dreadful wilderness that you have seen. So we reached Kadesh Barnea. Barnea. Then I said to you, You have reached the hill country of the Amorites, which the Lord our God is giving us. See, the Lord your God has given you the land. So go up and take possession of it, as the Lord your God of your ancestors told you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Then all of you came to me and said, Let us send men ahead to spy out the land for us, and bring back a report about the route we are to take in the towns we will we will come to. The idea seemed too good. This seemed good to me, so I selected 12 of you, one man from each tribe. They left and went up into the hill country and came to the valley of Eshcol and it, taking them so explored it, taking with them some of the fruit of the land. They brought it down to us and reported, It is a good land that the Lord our God is giving us. Rebellion against the Lord. But you were unwilling to go up. You rebelled against the command of the Lord your God. You grumbled in your tents and said, The Lord hates us, so he brings us out of Egypt to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us. Where can we go? Our brothers have made our hearts melt in fear. They say, The people are stronger and taller than we are. The cities are large. The walls up to the sky, with walls up to the sky. We even saw the Anunnakis there. Then I said to you, Do not be terrified. Do not be afraid of them. The Lord your God, who is going before you, will fight for you, as he did for you in Egypt before your very eyes. In the wilderness, there you saw how the Lord your God carried you as father carries his son. All the way you went until you reached this place. In spite of this, you did not trust in the Lord your God, who went ahead of you on the journey in fire by night, in a cloud by day, to search out places for you to camp, and to show you the way you should go. When the Lord heard what you said, he was angry and solemnly swore, No one from this evil generation shall see the good land I swore to give your ancestors, except Caleb, son of Jephani. He will see it, and I will give him and his descendants the land he set free on. He set free the land he set he set his feet on, sorry, because he followed the Lord wholeheartedly. Because of you, the Lord became angry with me also and said, "You shall not enter it either. By your assistant Joshua son of Nun will enter, but your assistant Joshua son of Nun will enter it and encourage him, because he will lead Israel to inherit it, and the little ones that you said would be taken captive, your children who do not yet know good from bad. They will enter the land I will give it to them, and they will make possession of it. But as far but as for you, turn around and set out towards the desert along the route up to the Red Sea." Then you reply, "We have sinned against the Lord. We will go up and fight as the Lord our God commands us." So every one of you put on his weapons, thinking it is easy to go up into the hill country. But the Lord said to him, "Tell them, do you not go up and fight, because I will not be with you? You will be defeated by your enemies. So I told you, but you would not listen. You rebelled against the Lord's commands, and in your arrogance you marched up into the hill country. The Amorites who lived in those hills came out against you. They chased you like a swarm of bees and beat you down from Siri all the way into Hormah. You came back and wept before the Lord, but he paid no attention to your weeping and turned a deaf ear to you. And so you stayed in Kadesh many days, all the time you spent there. So the God, you know, they were so so rebellious to God, like he doesn't want to exactly help them right now. Um, well, from what I understand, yeah, they keep rebelling against the Lord for some reason, and for me, like I don't understand how somebody would just like keep rebelling against something like that. But then again, we see it in today's world where people just rebel against God all the time, and I can never exactly figure out why they are willing to do that, you know, especially when you know God's done a lot of like incredible stuff here. So you're gonna rebel against you're gonna rebel against something that like you can't, like you've watched people literally kill. You're gonna rebel against something that's telling you how to do things. Like I don't get that. I don't get how that works with people, because people are so like like I don't understand that. How can you sit there and rebel against something that you saw literally kill off tons of people already, that you watched make a mountain glow? How can you rebel against something like that? And they just keep doing it and they don't stop. And so like, I don't, you know, I just don't get how like they can do it, because like if I saw this going on back then, I'd be like, okay, I have to follow these commands now. I have to do all this. And the thing is, these people are literally, like, they're seeing everything play out right in front of their eyes, and seeing it through Moses, or saw it through Moses back then. Now they're just like so confused. Like it just seems like they're so confused. They forgot, like they keep on forgetting that these incidents happen, that they're not willing to follow what he said, what God's saying to them. So it's like people call me delusional, but this is like delusional right here, where you're not following, where you see God, but you're not following him. You see the effects. You see the mountain glow. You saw everything you possibly could for you to see that the Lord even exists, and you're still like rebelling against him. That's just extremely like crazy. But all right, wanderings in the wilderness. Then we turned back and set out towards. And this is chapter 2, by the way. Hold on, I gotta do something real quick. I totally forgot to do this. I had one more place I had to share it out. I know it's a little bit late, but hey, better than nothing, right? All right. So now, all right. Wanderings into the wilderness, chapter 2. Then we turned back and set out towards the wilderness along the route to the Red Sea, as the Lord had directed me for a long time. We made our way around we made our way around the hill country of Syria. Then the Lord said to me, "You have made your way You have made your way around this hill country long enough. Now, turn north. Give the people these orders. You are about to pass through the territory of and descendants, of your relatives and descendants, of Esau, who live in Syria. They will be afraid of you, but be very careful. Do not provoke them to war, for I will not give you any of their land, not even enough to put your foot on it. I have given Esau the hill country of Syria as his own. You are to pay them in silver for the food you eat and the water you drink. The Lord your God has blessed you in all the work of your hands. He has watched over your journey through his vast wilderness. These 40 years, the Lord of your God has been with you, and you have not lacked anything. So we went on past our relatives and descendants of Esau who live in Syria. We turned uh, from the Arabah road, which comes up from Elth and Zion, or Ezon, Gerbi, and traveled along the desert road of Moab. Then the Lord said to me, "Do not harass the Moabites to provoke them to the war, for I will not give you any part of their land. I have given Ar to descendants of Lot as a possession." So everybody that was already previously in the Bible, he's given them land, and he's like, Esau is somebody that I'm reading about that was earlier in the Bible. He was born through who was it? He was born through Isaac. So Esau was born through Isaac, and then Lot was born through trying to think. But he's a descendant of one of the previous prophets in the Bible earlier on. So that's why they're very important here. All right. The Emites used to live there, a people strong in numbers and as tall as the Anakites. Like Anakites, they were considered Rephaites, but Moabites called them Emites. Horites used to live in Syria, but The descendants of Esau drove them out. They destroyed the Horites from before them and settled in their place, just as Israel did, in a land the Lord gave them as their possessions. And the Lord said, "Now get up and cross the Zered Valley." So we crossed the valley. 38 years passed from the time we left Kadesh Barnea until we crossed the Zered Valley. By then, that entire generation of fighting men had perished from camp. As the Lord had sworn to them, the Lord's hand was against them until he had completely eliminated them from the camp. Now, when the last of the fighting men among the people had died, the Lord said to me, "Today you are to pass by the region of the Moab at Ar. When you come to the Ammonites, do not harass them or provoke them to war, for I will not give you possession of any land belonging to the Ammonites. I have given it as possession to the descendants of Lot. That too was considered a land of the Rephaites who used to live there. But the Ammonites called them Zamzuzamites. Wow. They were the people strong and numerous, and as tall as the Anakites. The Lord destroyed them before the Ammonites, who drove them out and settled in their place. The Lord had done the same for the descendants of Esau, who lived in Syria. When he destroyed the Horites before them, they drove them out and lived in their place to this day. And for the Avites, who lived in a village as far as Gaza, the catastrophes coming out from Captor, destroyed, I think that's what it said, destroyed them and settled it in their place. So, yeah, it looks like the Lord's telling them, don't go and provoke some of these people because you're not going to get some of their land. I'm not going to give it to you. And, they're going around trying to get land. So that's why, the whole, you'll notice that there is war throughout this whole entire thing, because back then, society was just building. And the fact that, everybody just was believing in God, they all thought they were right. So, like, I guess that's how God does things now. He was I don't know. It just gets wild as it goes on, and you see how society is now the way it is today, where it's a war driven. We're not necessarily a war driven society, but we're at a point now where everybody's doing conflict these days. Everybody's involved with war. You know, recent events. I don't know what we're doing with it right now, but we were involved with the war for a little bit, from what I remember. And it's just really, really interesting to see. Alright. Defeat of Shino, king of Hasbon. Set out and cross the Arnon gorge. See, I have given into your hand of Shino, the Amorite king of Hasbon, and the country being taken to, and his country. Begin to take possession of it, and engage him in battle. This very day I will begin to put terror and fear of you on all nations under heaven. They will hear report, and you will tremble and be in anguish because of you. From the desert of Kedemoth I sent messengers to Shion, king of Heshbon, offering peace and saying, let us pass through your country. We will stay on the main road. We will not turn aside to the right or left. Sell us food to eat and water to drink for their people in for their price. Only let us pass through on foot as a descendant of Esau, who lived in Syria, and Moabites, and the Moabites who lived in Ar did for us, until we crossed the Jordan into the land of our God, giving us. But Shion, king of Heshbon, refused to let us pass through. For the Lord your God had made his spirit stubborn and his heart obstinate, in order to give him into your hands, as he has now done. The Lord said to me, I see, I have begun to deliver Shion and his country over to you. Now to begin to conquer and possess his land. When Shion and his army came out to meet us in battle at Jahaz, the Lord our God delivered him over to us, and we struck him down with his sons and his whole army. At the time we took all his towns and completely destroyed them, men, women, and children. We left no survivor, but the livestock and plunder from the towns we had captured we carried off ourselves. From a roar on the rim of Aron Gorge, and from the town of George, even as far as Gilead, not one town was strong for us. The Lord God gave us all of them. But in accordance with the command of the Lord our God, you did not encroach on any of the land of the Ammonites, another the land along the course of Jacob, nor that around the towns in his hills. So we're on to chapter 3. So they're just basically trying to keep land or gain land by going around and battling and fighting people for war over land. And it's just, yeah, it doesn't seem like there's much I don't know how big the land is they're fighting. I mean, it's slightly explained, but like some of it doesn't seem like it's all that big. Like it never really gets explained how like it does, but it's like, you know, you can't really picture it, because if you were to picture it, you'd be able to see how big the land is and how far they traveled and stuff like that. Like you'd have to have a diagram behind all this, which that would go in depth. And I look at this like, all right, so I talked about this already, but like I I've been talking about anime quite recently because of the not negative effects it has on Americans. Okay, but I will say this: if somebody was to sit down and literally make an anime of the Bible, I would watch that one. Because take the story of Moses, for instance. Moses had a really intense story. I remember at one point we were reading where Moses had to hold his hand up, and it was so tiring that his hand started drooping. So anytime his hand would droop, the battle would be on the side he wasn't with. So anytime his hand got put back up, the battle would go on the side that he was with. So like I want to see stuff like that in anime form. I think that'd be really cool, or like just a comic book or something like that. But I'll explain why afterwards. I'm not like into anime anymore, and like I just have my reasons, and I think it's best like I can say or explain, because it does go back into the purpose of like a lot of what I bring up here, and a lot of like stuff that was in the Bible already when it comes down to it. So But let's go into the next one. Defeat of King Og, king of Bashan, chapter 3. Next we turned and went up along the road towards Bashan, and Og, king of Bashan, with his whole army marched out to meet us in the battle of Edred. The Lord said to me, "Do not be afraid of him, for I have delivered him into the hands along with his whole army and his land, to do to him what you did to King Shino, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon." So the Lord our God also gave into our hands Og, king of Bashan, and his army. We struck them down, leaving no survivors at the time. We took all his cities. There was not one of the 60 cities that we did not take from them. The whole region of Argob, Og's kingdom in Bashan, all cities were fortified with high walls and with gates and bars, and there were also a great many unwalled villages we completely destroyed. Then, as we had done with Shion, king of Heshbon, destroying every city, men, women, and child, but all the livestock and plunder from their cities were carried off for ourselves. At the time, we took from these two kings of the Amorites the territory east of Jordan, from the Arnon gorge as far as Mount Hermon. Hermon is called Siron by the Sidonians, and the Amorites call it Senir. We took all the towns on the plateau, all Gilead, and all Bashan, as far as Selka and Edred, town of Og's kingdom in Bashan. Og, king of Bashan, was the last of the Rephaites. His bed was decorated with iron and was more than 9 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. It is still in Reba of the Ammonites. Division of the land. Of the land that we took over at that time, I gave to the Reubenites and the Gideonites the territory north of Arior by the Arnon, George, including half the hill country of Gilead, to gather with its town, the rest of Gilead, and also all of the Bashan, the kingdom of Og, I gave to half tribes of Manasseh. The whole region of Argob and Bashan used to be known as the land of the Rephaites. Jerah, a descendant of Manasseh, took the whole region, and Argob as far as the border of the Geshurites and the Maccathites. It was named after him, so that to this day Bashan is called Haveth Jer. And I gave Gilead a Machir, but to Reubenites and the Gittitites I gave the territory extended from Gilead down to the Arnon Gorge, the middle of the Gorge battlefield, being the border. The middle of George being the border, and out of the Jacob River, which is the border of the Ammonites, its western border was the Jordan of Arab, the Kinnereth, to the Sea of the Arab, that is the Dead Sea, below the slope of Pisgah. I command you at this time, the Lord your God has given you this land to take possession of. But all your able-bodied men are armed for battle, must cross over ahead of the others Israelites. However, your wives, your children, and your livestock, I know you have much livestock, may stay in the towns I have given you until the Lord gives rest to your fellow Israelites, as he has to you, and they too have taken over the land at the Lord your God is given them across the Jordan. After that, each of you may go back to the possession I have given you. So, they just defeated a king, and looks like they're trying to take more land. So, Moses forbidden to cross the Jordan. At that time, I commanded Joshua. Moses forbidden. Yeah, okay. At that time, I commanded Joshua, you have seen your own eyes all that the Lord your God has done to these two kings. The Lord will do the same to all the kingdoms over there where you are gone. Do not be afraid of them. The Lord your God himself will fight for you. At the time, I plead with the Lord, sovereign Lord, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your strong hand, for what God is there is a heaven or there's a heaven or on earth who can do the deeds and mighty works you do. Let me go over and see the good land beyond the Jordan, that fine hill country and Lebanon. But because of you, the Lord was angry with me and would not listen to me. This is enough. The Lord said, do not speak to me any more about this matter. Go up to the top of the Pisgah. Go up to the top of the Pisgah and look down west and north and south and east. Look at the land with your own eyes, since you are not going to cross this Jordan, but commission Joshua and encourage and strengthen him, for he will lead this people across, and will cause them to inherit the land that you will see. So we will stay in the valley near Beth Piro. So we're on chapter 4 right now. As you can see, right now, earlier on in this, there's a lot of stuff going on with the land and all that. The year of canceling. So, yep. So they're just going after land right now. So they'll get it, the whole book will get better. Right now it's picking up because like it's just explaining what they had to do to get to where they are. Like I I'm almost certain in this book where there's a guy that ends up with like I don't know if it's this one or later on. I think it's this one. But there's a guy that ends up with like 700 wives, and I'm like, I think I said it before here, but like, what I'm like, I was talking to my coworker about it because he reads the Bible too. He's like, I was like, how the heck does a guy have 7 wives and expect to spend like time with any of them? And he's like, well, I guess he only visits like 2 a month or something like that. I was like, that's incredibly insane. Still, like that'd be, I don't know. I don't know how that would even work. If I had like 700 wives, I don't know what I would do. I honestly, I like metaphorically speaking, 700 wives would be like beyond my power. Like, how would I make sure none of them are like cheating on me? How would I make sure none of them are actually like sticking to their marriage or something like that? Like, what if that was like, what if that actually like, that's crazy to think. What if like if that was real? Like, it's crazy to know that that was real at one point where like a guy had 700 wives. Um, just stuff like that like is crazy. The Bible has like really crazy stories in it, and I think that's why I like it because I can relate some back to some of them. Um, but yeah, what the heck? Like that would be insane to have 700 wives, but that's a story for a later time. um, but yeah, as you can see today, today was pretty good. It was the start of Deuteronomy. Like I said, as I'm reading through this, like I'm just like I've witnessed a lot of changes in myself. Like like anybody out there who knows me from like a few months ago knows that like I was having trouble keeping my my temper under wraps and all that. And as of lately, because I've been reading this and I've been listening to it through somebody else, um, I really, really am enjoying, like, I am really relaxed compared to the way I used to be. And, like, the thing is that in the world, we're always, a lot of people are just on edge. You'll learn that. A lot of people are on edge for no reason. Like, you'll just go out in the public and you'll see, like, you'll smile at a person, okay? And then sometimes women don't like the smile, which they have a term for that, which I'm not gonna say here, but they call it that. Okay, they say it's a resting face. Let's just put it that way. And it's I think if you smile, like I think if we go out and we smile more, I think it'll make a lot more people want to smile back. Because when you think about it, we live in a society where everybody's trying to be serious. Like I don't know why that is. But there's a lot of moments that I can sit there and like literally laugh at stuff. Like I sit there and I'll laugh at like some things people say to me when they're joking, when they're like get like trolling me or whatever. There's some things I laugh at that really really make me laugh. But today's society we're not laughing and we're not enjoying stuff as much. In fact, um going back to what I was talking about earlier about anime. Now, I want to say something here, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, and but I stopped watching anime a little while ago, specifically because I was like, there's something like a lot of people are watching it right now as we speak. Like they're the vast majority of people watching anime right now are watching it. Well, the vast majority of everybody is watching anime right now, and they're watching it for like you know certain reasons that I learned last night, where I was like, okay, let me see why anime connects back to like you know the LGBTQ and stuff like that. And I went and searched it, and it does connect back to the LGBTQ because it was originally the first type of it was the first type of cartoon. I say cartoon because that's originally what it is. Anything animated, it would be considered in America as a cartoon. It was the first cartoon to openly have same sex relationships in it. That's why it directs itself back to the LGBTQ. But then on top of it, you have a middle ground where in between the LGBTQ and anime itself, there's a middle ground that I'm not going to talk about here because it's just disgusting, it's foul, it's stuff like that, and people fight against it. But I went and I did the research on it last night. And I was like, no way. So what do I want to say? How do I want to say this? What I thought about it all along was accurate. So that's why like I stay away from it now. And anybody who is like not an advocate of that kind of stuff, you might want to reconsider watching anime because I turned away from anime a long time ago, but I even more turned away from it because it just felt like there was something there that felt like really, really off about it. And I don't know what it is, but like anytime I think about it, there's just like this, like, there's this like something in the back of my head says it's degenerate. All right, it says anime is just degenerate and don't watch anime. Okay, and when you look at it, yes, it has a lot of teachings of homosexuality in it. It makes it and then what the other thing it teaches like example, like it teaches like men to be attracted to young girls and women be attracted to young boys. That's another feature of it that I don't like. And the main character, the main antagonist, is usually a little boy who is growing up and maturing and growing into this like really, really powerful character, which again is a statement that American full grown adult Americans shouldn't be watching. We shouldn't be watching that kind of stuff. You know, that's why, I look at it this way. Batman, Superman, and all those characters, the American heroes, when we accepted anime into America, that's when all those changes came about. When you sit there and you connect it with the LGBT, when you sit there and you connect anime back to the LGBTQ, okay? So anime has become like this huge thing in America within the past few years. If you look at it, okay? What's been going on lately with the Marvel and DC side of things, okay? They're getting turned to they're having a bit of the LGBTQ agenda inside the comic books, all because of what they can do with anime, okay? So we've allowed anime to intrude here in America, and now we're seeing it take over the superheroes, our American superheroes that originally were not built for that. When you connect the whole thing all together, that's where it all comes from, the LGBTQ. You know, so that's why anime is so huge now. That's why Batman and Superman were getting turned out to be, less shells of a man as opposed to what a man is supposed to be. No offense, but when I read these stories in the Bible, I like hearing about these guys who like are like very powerful and have God flowing through them and fighting battles and all that. You're not hearing about you hear about homosexuality in here, but it gets destroyed instantly by like angels and stuff like that. They get cursed because of it. Okay, so I like hearing about that kind of stuff because that just puts me at ease that God don't accept that. Now, when you look at the whole perspective of our stories now, you know, it all connects back to the LGBTQ messing everything up and Superman and Batman. It's been an anime since the 1960s. So reality of the truth is, it's all, if you make the connection, you can like literally make it back to the LGBTQ no matter what. And that's the problem is we let the LGBTQ take over too many things. So because it's popularized and it's normal, it's pretty much normalized right now that people accept it. And if you're not accepting them, they want to ostracize you. They want to chastise you. They want to make sure you're not in a relationship. They want to make sure men and women aren't in relationships anymore. You can literally see the struggle in some people and why things are the way they are. And if you can't put that into perspective and understand that, then you might want to reconsider like what you're reading or what you're looking at because anime is literally the first thing. Like you go back in history, you can actually see some portions of it play out in anime where it's accepted. It's fully 100% accepted, but nobody's picked up on it. And there's a reason now. There's a reason now. I sat there and I thought about it, and there's one YouTuber that I actually listened to, and they pointed out how disgusting it is too. So, it's a federal offense in some places it's a federal offense to own anything related to that subject of anime. So let's go back and, I'm not going to sit here and do a full breakdown of it for you guys, but like, this is just something to reconsider. Anime is built to, is propaganda for the LGBTQ, whether you realize it or not. That's why all the character models are built like scrawny little characters, because who likes that? What woman wants a scrawny little man that has a six pack and like looks perfect? All right, women back in the day used to like really big built guys, and now like they're not. It's not the anime's just messed up a lot of stuff, and I hope that someday that we don't have it here in America anymore because it's done a lot more damage than it did good, and it's projecting wrong messages. And there's a whole other area of anime, like there's a whole other area that goes, it all just goes back to that one group of people, which when you pick it, which when you research it, it's always going to go back to them. That's why it needs to stop. That's why, you know, I don't like anime anymore because I've come to the realization that it connects back to them, and I'm not supporting it. I'm not supporting them. I'm not supporting them here. I'm not supporting them anywhere. And I wish people would stop like pretending that we're all supposed to support them. You know, and they treat it like it's they treat it they treat themselves like they're literally, a culture of some sort when they're not. It's a sexuality feature. It's not a culture. All right? You're not born that way. You choose to be that way. But yeah, do your research. If you're having trouble understanding this, do your research. You can blankly see what I mean when I say all of this. You can actually see it when I say all of it if you sit there and you research all of it. And I'm not supporting it. I'm not watching anime anymore. I'm done. And I won't get on anybody's case for it, but when it comes down to it, you have to look at the connections there and see why I'm done with it. You know, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's it's completely normal. It's completely normal. There's no harm done with it." I don't know about that. Sorry, my lips like because when you sit there and you think about this. Weren't the LGBT community accused of being, peddlers? I want to say that word. Weren't they accused of liking children at one point? I don't know, man. Seems suspicious. Seems very suspicious to me. So, again, this is why we have a problem with things in America. Like, this is why I don't like anime either. And it just all connects. It all connects. And they were accused, and before they came full on and it was mainstream, they were already accused of all that stuff. That's why right now I think it's coming out more than ever because being accused of that and we let them be normalized. What's next we're gonna normalize? What's the next thing we're gonna normalize? I don't know what it is, but I heard a story on the radio last night over top of my headphones. But there was a kid who I don't know where it was, but I heard about it. But they were playing a sport, and it was a girl, okay, a tall girl that I guess they were accusing her of being transgender, and it offended the parents. It offended the parents, and they had to take it down off social media because somebody somewhere was accusing her of being a transgender person. You know how insulting that is? I get accused of that sometimes because people's IQs are too low right now. And what's producing a low IQ? Again, LGBTQ's producing a low IQ because those people are genuinely not smart enough to understand anything. Like again, we need to get rid of this. We need to get rid of this organization from America. This organization is what's destroying America. That's why I praise people who fight back against it. That's why I praise people who fight against it. And sure enough, I'm not going to sit here and allow them to, if I build a church, I'm not allowing them to walk into the church. I'm going to be like, look, if you're going to walk into this church, you better be repenting first. And I will sit there and I will get your name and I will do research on you myself. I will get your name, your age, and I will do research on you myself just to make sure you're okay to come into my church. Because if not, I'll hand you one of these and you can be on your way. But I'm not accepting that in my church. Nowhere. But like, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start fighting back against this LGBT community. It's time to start fighting back because you can just see the evil You can just see the darkness and all the bad tendencies seeping into society because of an animated show. You can see it, you know. And I openly admit this. I actually see something like that going on in Xenoblade Chronicles. Okay, so you take Glimmer and you take Rex. Glimmer sits there and sometimes she flirts with Rex. That's not normal. All right, I don't hate the game, but that's not normal. You can see it. You can openly see it. And then, it's just anime has really been pushing on bad agendas to us, and we really, really need to start fighting back against that kind of stuff. So, all right. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna say a prayer and get out of here. I don't work today, so I'll be back later on today with the stream. More clear-minded, so I can read through this. Mornings I wake up, I kind of struggle with reading it because I'm still waking up and still adjusting. So, and I have ADHD, so I do sometimes stumble upon the words. So I apologize for that. But thank you guys for sitting there listening. I am happy a couple of you are sitting here listening. Um, and I appreciate you. You are a blessing. All right. Anyway, let's say a prayer now. Lord Jesus Christ, I pray to you today to we really need you to help us fight back against the LGBTQ. We need to put a stop to this. Lord, we need to kick anime out of America, and we need to kick the LGBTQ to the side. Um, it's one of those things that, like, as an American person, I've connected, and I'm glad you helped me make those connections. But it's time we start cutting it down to size. It's time we start kicking it out of America, and time we start banning it from the country in general. So young people aren't getting their hands on it, so they're having to, because it's a promotion of the LGBTQ, and the LGBTQ, Lord, smite them if you have to. Do something to them to show them that they are not wanted here in America. Lord, do something that is going to show them they are not wanted here in America. And any group and organization like that, such as that, Lord, prevent that from being here, and make sure you smash it with your hand, Lord. Um, I pray you bless me today. Bless those who need blessed. And I will go around blessing people if I run into people today, Lord. But Lord, please, please put blessings into people's life. Just take care of, like, the world matters going on right now, like the matters in the United States here, because we really need to get the United States back to par, back to where it was, Lord. So if you could do that, and Lord, um, yeah, Lord, just bless everybody that needs blessed today. In Jesus' name, amen. So there you go. There you have it. Pray again. Pray that the Lord does something about those guys, because and I used to be a fan of anime. When I started making connections with it, and where it's come from, and why like I didn't like it anymore. Um, I had to really sit down and make a connection, and that's something I think, like, if you're having trouble understanding what I mean, go and search all this up and see what I mean, because you're gonna see anime is not good for anybody, and that's why, like, I want to try to get back to the way America was. Like, we let the LGBTQ secretly seep into things because we are now huge fans of anime, and we really, really need to rewatch what we're doing, because in some of this anime, you see some of the tendencies of it even showing up. Like, I remember I watched Tokyo Ghoul a little while ago, and there was a full on homosexual in there that, like, was chasing after the main character, secretly obsessed with them, and it was pretty vivid, and it was like, okay, that's kind of weird. That's just like that. So, um, I want to say that, like, from this point on, if you can, pay attention to that kind of stuff, because I want a full on eruption of this to come out into the masses, and I would like to see people just be more aware of it. I say we cut anime from America, and put back our stories the way they are. So, because once we accepted anime here in America, the LGBTQ saw it, and they started putting their hand into into everywhere else. Like, and that's part of the reason why, like, when you look at video games right now and you look at comic books, it's all changing. It's all changing to support what they are and who they are. And that's why we're seeing the downfall of it. So if you can, ladies and gentlemen, we need to start getting it out there. We need anime to be kicked from America. We need the LGBTQ to start learning from their error of their ways. I'm sick of it. I know a lot of people are, and it's time we really, really start putting our foot down and pray to God that He just does something about it, because we really, really need God to take vengeance. We need God to take vengeance on those people for their evil, for their bad, arrogant ways. We need people to take vengeance. We need God to take vengeance on them, to smite them, to put His hand down on them and smash them. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, just pray, and hopefully we see the actions of God here soon. Until then, take it easy and have a blessed day, and have a good one. And I'll be seeing you later on in the evening.